Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I got another mod for the FX and I got an insane deal on this BBK big brake kit for the FX. So we're gonna be installing these things. These are OEM BBK brakes that came off of a Q70. And the model year was, I think, a 2017. These are like in great and amazing condition. When it comes to BBK that fit on the FX, you have to be very careful on what you pick up because some things may not fit properly. And the only issue that you are really gonna see is going to be the rear rotors will not fit from like a 370Z. A G37 will not fit on an FX. But the ones from a Q50, Q70, obviously QX70, the FX50 will fit on the FX QX70. So that's what you got to watch out for. Luckily for me, I got the rotors and also the BBK for, believe it or not, $280 for everything, which is insane because if you go on Concept Z, you go on Z1, just for like the calipers itself, they want like $1,000, or I could be wrong actually. I think they want somewhere around like 600. But when you add the rotors, when you add all that other stuff, you're looking to spend at least $1,400, not including everything else that you may need additional, which could be possibly upgrading the brake lines, which you don't have to. We're not going to be doing that in this video. We're going to be using the stock ones. We're just going to have to pick up the banjo bolts. So I need 4 of them. I've actually done this before already on my 370Z. My 370Z came with the base brakes and I upgraded them to Akebonos. Now you can buy these anywhere. You can buy them from Rock Auto. You can buy them even from AutoZone, remanufactured ones. Completely up to you, but depending where you get them from is how much you're gonna spend. I found a Q70S that was being parted out and I saw the big brake kit on it. Obviously I asked them how much they wanted for it and I could not pass up on the deal. I was like, I gotta pick that up because most people want $500 just for like the calipers itself, right? Including like the rotors, they want even more for that. So it's an insane deal. But let's go ahead and check out everything, what we need to do, and then go from there. All right, so here is the entire BBK. So you got the rotors in the back over there, and you got the calipers right here. Now, let's say you have 370Z. I'll also talk about that a little bit in this video as well. But the biggest difference between the 370Z and also the FX, Q70, pretty much the bigger SUVs and or the bigger sedans require the rear rotors from a Q70 and or like an M37, for example, also FX. You need bigger rotors in the back. So they are slightly different. Now, everything else is the same. Calipers, the front ones, the rear ones, they match up perfectly. Don't have to really worry about that at all. But here's a few other things to look out for. One thing that I went ahead and did is for every single caliper, I broke loose the bleeders right here at the top to make sure that I can loosen them, take them off, and that they breathe properly and the holes are not clogged. So that's one thing that you want to check for sure on each one. If any of them are broken for whatever reason, don't work properly, you can buy replacements and, you know, change them out. Now, here's another important thing. So I figured this out because I was doing a little bit of research and I was like 100% sure that there was supposed to be a gasket right here because these calipers are disassembled. So this goes like that and it goes together with some bolts in the back holding into place. So these larger holes right here are for some bolts. And as you can see, there's an O-ring missing. So I didn't notice this when I picked them up, but the guy that was disassembling it dropped the O-ring, which is no longer there, and I need to pick that up. So if these have been disassembled, you need to make sure that the O-ring is there. If not, it's going to leak right there, right in this area, right here as well. It's just going to leak. Now, another thing to look out for from experience is you want to make sure that every caliper that you get is meant for that side and the bleeder is on the top side. So when I got the ones from my 370Z, which are these right here, when they gave me the calipers, one of the sides was the same as the other side. So this side goes on this side right here, and they gave me another one the exact same way, but it should be the other way around, that goes like this instead of like this. they only go on one way. So if I were to install this on the other side, I would have to flip it around like this. And if your bleeder is at the bottom, it will not bleed properly. You can run your stock lines on these. You don't need aftermarket ones, because the stock ones, you could just use a banjo bolt to install them, or you can get the stainless steel lines. Completely up to you. They're not super expensive, like $100 for all of them. So it's completely up to you if you want to go with that route. But I will go ahead and pick this up later on once I pick up the banjo bolt and those seals, because I got Concept Z that's close to me in my area that I can pick these up from. And they're not that expensive. I think they're like $2.50 for each one. I'm going to get a total of about 6 of them just in case something happens to one of them. Because last time I had an issue where one of the banjo bolts like snapped because I tightened it too much, which was my fault. But just extra precaution, I'm going to get some extra ones. Alright, so here are the banjo bolts and the O-rings that I needed to go ahead and do the install on the FX for the Akebono big brake kit. As you can see, these are the banjo bolts right here. You only need 4, so 1 for each caliper. I got an extra one just in case, something is wrong with one of them for whatever reason, you don't know. I just decided to go ahead and get 6 in case of an emergency, one of these breaks. Here are all the washers, copper washers in order to seal it. And here's the part number. Got these from Concept Z, which is local to me. And then I got the O-rings right here. And I did actually ask them about the O-rings. I was like, aren't they supposed to be more of like a square setup? And they said that it looks like they actually changed the parts and these should work properly. So hopefully these work. But there you can see it's fitting, pretty flush right there. It like sticks up a little bit on the side. But if you move it over to the other caliper, or the other side of the same caliper, it fits perfectly in that circle right there. So I'm assuming that once it compresses and we put the bolts in, it'll flatten out to seal it. That's what I'm hoping. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, add a little bit of Vaseline on the ring so that kind of stays there, and then close it down. Alright, so I got the caliper all sealed up, as you can see. Tighten these up pretty well. I'm going to tighten them again once I put them on the car, just because I can't get like enough leverage with the caliper moving around to tighten it, securely. But I just added like a little bit of Vaseline on the ring so it could stay where it was at. I would put the bolt in, and then I would leave it like loose, and then I would lift the caliper just to make sure I could see the ring sitting where it's supposed to. Once I saw that it was in the area where I needed it to be, I went ahead and tightened the area down so I can clap it on and it doesn't move around. That's how I got it to like stay where I needed it. But I did check honestly like 3 times to make sure. Every time I would put it down, it stayed in the location where it needed to be at. Now here's the banjo bolt that I was telling you guys about earlier that you need. And the brake line is going to go between the copper washers right there, just like that. And you're going to tighten it down. And as you can see, this right there is the furthest that it goes down. So this is why you need a shorter banjo bolt, so you can ensure that it seals properly. It's not too long to create a gap. But yeah, there you go. Let's go ahead and begin installing these on the car. Alright guys, so it's finally game time. Got my glasses fixed. I've been waiting to get my glasses fixed so I can record this properly for you guys. But here I have a tube that I'm going to go ahead and use to bleed the system, to put it in like a cup, a plastic one, so we can bleed it without an extra person. Because of course without the extra person it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to bleed the system. So we're going to use this method right here, which I think is called like the gravity method. And I've done this before and it worked pretty well. So if anything, I could just, get the proper tools later and then do it properly. Alright, so here we have the wheel off. Now we want to go ahead and remove these 2 larger bolts right here, holding the caliper in so we can get it out of the way. Once we get this out of the way, we gotta cut this shield right here, because it's gonna get in the way of the rotor. I'll show you guys right now, but you can use some scissors to just cut through, or a Dremel, whichever one is easier. Both will work just fine. These scissors will make it a little bit too sharp. I feel like with the Dremel it'll give it more of that cleaner cut, so it's honestly really up to you. I've seen some people just make some cuts like right here, which I think I might actually try, and then just bend it up, and I think that would even work perfectly fine without having to make too many cuts. So let's remove these. I think those might be, I'm gonna say like a 19. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a 19 mil, so let's grab a 19. Alright, so it is a 19 mil. And sometimes you can break it loose just by holding it and hitting it like that, but that may not work in this instance. Yeah, so you need a breaker bar for this, or something that'll give you more leverage, like an opener and wrench. Let's try that. Alright, so now we're going to put the pin through the back. Make sure this hole's up. That's on the pin, because you got to put a bracket in there to hold it in. Alright, there you go. And then these little pins are here, go inside those holes so it doesn't come out. Just like that. And I need one more right there. It's going to go right in that hole. Just like that. And then right there, you guys can kind of see a little bit better. The pin's in there, so it's not going to come out. And then now we can put the brake line on. Alright, so here are the banjo bolts that we had to pick up. So I'm going to take this one off over here. So what you're going to do is you're going to have one copper washer at the top right there. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one right here. Now this is going to go like that, and then another copper washer right here, and then just tighten it up. It's a size 14. Keep in mind, this does not have to be super tight. If you over tighten it, you're going to end up breaking the banjo bolt. Okay, I think that should be good. Alright, so right now what we're going to go ahead and do is bleed the brakes. So I have this line going right there to right here. And a bottle filled with fluid. Brake fluid specifically. And then we're going to pump the brakes. So we're going to start from the back and then go to the front one. Then we're going to close this off right here. Snug. So now we're going to loosen that one. Clean this up right here. And yeah, you can see some fluid came in there. It's a little bit dirtier now. So you can see it's working. Alright, let's pump this side now. Then I'll close it off. Alright, there you go. This doesn't have to be super tight. I just pressed it a few times. This is still dry. It's just like a little bit wet right there because of the residue, but nothing's dripping down as you can see. Same thing right here. And same thing right there. It was already wet right there before, so we're good. Just gotta clean it up. But this side is not leaking at all. So this side is completely done. And the brake pedal is holding firm. So now we can move on to the other side and installing those. So the other side is the exact same process as this side. The front ones, same thing as well. But I'll show you guys one of the fronts as well so you guys can see the difference. Alright, look at that right there. That looks a whole lot better. And that's just the small ones. The other ones are huge. And then look at this side. Yeah, the other side looks 10 times better. Sick. Alright, let's do the other side and then I'll pick it back up once I start moving to the front over here. Right there you can kind of see me bleeding the brakes. You see those bubbles right there? As I push the brakes, bubbles come out. Alright, and then just so you guys can see, I have the e-brake on over there. As you can see, it's holding it. Not going anywhere. Alright, so now we're moving on to the front ones right here. And it is honestly like the exact same process, just now in the front. Alright, so these back ones right here are actually 22 millimeters. Just ratchet. Okay, there you go. There you go. Alright, now so for this front one, it doesn't look like there's as much cutting that we need to do. We just need to cut this right here, and then most likely right here at an angle. So the front is actually going to be a little bit easier when it comes to this part of cutting it. Let's go ahead and mock up the rotor. Yeah, as you can see, it's hitting it right there, so we do have to cut it. So I think it'd be better just to completely cut this whole section right here. Alright, so I just cut this section right here. So far it's looking pretty good. I just like kind of put it right there, clears perfectly. Bottom one doesn't look as it hit anything at all. So we're good. So not as much cutting on this top one right here. Okay, it looks like it's hitting right here. So we can bend it or cut it back. Alright, there you go, perfect. Alright, brake pads are the same exact thing. Alright, there you go, something like that. Then this thing right here does it go like this. Alright guys, we're pretty much done. Just tightening up this one right here. And then gotta put the banjo bolt on. But so far it's been a pretty straightforward process. Really easy. I think the bleeding the brakes is the most difficult part. Alright guys, so here is the BBK now officially installed. And it looks so good. Look at that right there. Just completes the look now with the wheels. These are GTR wheels, 10.5 all around. Now with the Akebonos, looks really sick. I honestly had no issues whatsoever installing this. Like I mentioned before, you need the Q70 on rear rotors, and or the bigger, you know, sedan SUV FX50. Those that come with the sport package, gotta get those rotors. The 370Z ones, G37 won't work in the rear. Front's the same, back is different. That's the biggest thing to know when installing these. But everything was pretty straightforward. I had no issues. My only recommendation to you guys is when you are bleeding the brakes, make sure that before you stop, you see no bubbles coming out. And the front left one, I kept seeing bubbles coming out for some reason. I just kept pushing the brake. I would check it. If I would see bubbles come out, I would push it a little bit more until I saw nothing coming out at all. So I'm not sure if there was just a little bit more air in that side, or maybe the hose was getting loose and it kept introducing air into the system. But you want to try to prevent any air from getting in there at all. If the pedal is too loose, it's going down too much, then you most likely still have air bubbles in the system. So just be very careful when doing that, especially, you know, working with the braking system. You don't want to have your brakes fail on you when you're driving, so you just got to be really careful. So I, you know, checked it. Luckily for me, everything worked the first time, but I really just took my time when doing this. So recommend just taking your time when doing the braking system. But yeah, no issues whatsoever, no complaints. Everything mounted right up. Didn't have to make any modifications other than cutting the shields in order for this to fit properly. I just need these headlights right here, and then I gotta do my oil cooler hopefully this weekend actually. That way I can install that, and I would like to do that, and then blacking out the chrome right here. Once I do that, I think that'll look really sick, and this car is just gonna look amazing once it's done. But as you can see, the tires look a lot better in the front. I need to upgrade the rear ones because you can see they look a lot skinnier than these. These are 40 sidewall, 285. These are 285, but they're 35 sidewall. And Michelin usually looks a little bit skinnier than, you know, other brands out there. That's the only thing killing it right now is the rear tire setup. Really love the look. Now it looks a whole lot sportier and aggressive in comparison to what it looked like before. But thank y'all for watching. That is going to conclude the video. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. I know in my recent video I just posted the Akebono, like things that you should know, and I had somebody comment that, you know, these brakes, you know, they're not really going to do too much if you just install them without upgrading like any of the other components, which is actually true. But in reality, most people are upgrading the brakes just for looks, and that's why I'm doing it. This is an SUV. It's not really meant to be on the track, right? So I'm mainly doing it for aesthetic purposes, and I think it's a great upgrade for some of you that just want to make the car look a little bit better, and I honestly recommend it. No issues, and I got mine for cheap. To be honest with you guys, I spent $200 on everything. Well, actually no, I'm lying, because I had to buy the banjo bolts and everything. That was like 30 bucks. So as you can see, it was a pretty inexpensive purchase for me. You guys can pick this up too. If you look for like a car that's at the junkyard and you find them, you may be able to spend that much as well. But if you're gonna buy it from like Concept Z, you're looking at spending over $1,000. Z1 Motorsports, same thing as well. Or you can go the cheaper route with Rock Auto, get remanufactured ones, which is gonna be a little bit less. But that's, you know, my take on it. But thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.